All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to embark on an absolutely massive historical journey. We're looking at the dramatic and frankly turbulent transformation of India, spanning all the way from the arrival of early European merchants to the hard-fought birth of a modern republic. It's an incredible story of ambition, betrayal, unimaginable wealth, and the unyielding human spirit. To kick things off, I want you to think about this central paradox. How exactly did a group of foreign merchants, people who initially just wanted to buy spices and textiles, manage to conquer an entire subcontinent? I mean, it literally sounds like the plot of a geopolitical thriller, but it's exactly what happened. This is the ultimate action phase of our narrative, and understanding how it went down completely changes how we view modern history.
Here's our roadmap for this journey. Number 1, arrival of the Europeans. Number 2, the British takeover. Number 3, awakening the national spirit. Number 4, the fight for freedom. And finally, number 5, architects of the Republic.
Section 1. Arrival of the Europeans, the spice route to empire.
In the 17th and 18th centuries, India was an absolute magnet for European powers. They were desperately looking to bypass Middle Eastern middlemen to get their hands on rich resources like spices and fine textiles. Picture the Indian coastline between 1498 and 1739, literally dotted with these little European settlements. They were called factories, essentially coastal trading posts. But make no mistake, these settlements acted like a Trojan horse. What started as simple commercial outposts slowly morphed into hubs of profound political intervention as the local empires began to fragment.
Now, India had traded peacefully with foreign merchants for centuries. It was business as usual. But the Europeans brought something entirely different to the table: fortified control. They arrived packing advanced military technology, massive navies, and a truly ruthless desire for political monopolies. They didn't just want to trade, They wanted exclusive rights, and they were willing to back that up with military force.
Section 2, the British takeover, from merchants to masters.
This takeover is a fascinating, frankly absurd, and somewhat terrifying story of how a group of London merchants, literally a corporate entity, systematically eliminated their European rivals to conquer a subcontinent. The turning point really hinged on the Anglo-French rivalry, which played out through the Carnatic Wars. We're talking naval battles starting in 1746, evolving into conflicts over local successions, and culminating in the 1760 Battle of Wandiwash. That 1760 battle was the nail in the coffin. The British decisively defeated the French forces, essentially knocking their biggest European rival right out of the Indian power struggle. So how did the British actually lock down their territorial control? It came down to sheer cunning and some incredibly decisive military victories. Take the Siege of Arcot in 1751, a brutal 50-day endurance test won by Robert Clive, a man who, surprisingly enough, had absolutely zero formal military training. Then there's the famous Battle of Plassey in 1757. The British won that largely through the betrayal of Mir Jafar, which handed them the keys to Bengal's massive treasury. And finally, the 4 grueling Anglo-Mysore Wars, which ended in 1799 with the death of Tipu Sultan, a ruler who had actually modernized his army with French help just to resist them.
Once they had the territory, their method of governing was an absolute masterclass in exploitation. They set up the dual system in Bengal. They literally split the functions of government. On one side, revenue collection, or Diwani. On the other side, police and justice, known as Nizamat. The British East India Company forced Indian deputies to do all the actual work and bear all the public resentment, while the company itself held the real political power and collected all the wealth. It was wild. They secured all the money without any of the responsibility to the actual people.
Section 3. Awakening the national spirit, the reaction. You can only exploit a population for so long before a reaction occurs, right? And what a reaction it was. A diverse, incredible mosaic of thinkers, poets, lawyers, and revolutionaries began to rise up from totally different backgrounds, all united to push back against the might of the British Empire.
But before the physical fight could really take off, they had to forge a shared cultural identity. You had visionaries like Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate who wrote the national anthem, or Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who composed Vande Mataram, literally giving the motherland a unified voice. And we absolutely cannot forget Dadabhai Naoroji, the grand old man of India. He meticulously documented the drain of wealth, proving mathematically how the British were impoverishing India. They established a unified pride first, which was absolutely crucial.
Section 4. The fight for freedom, tacticians and revolutionaries. With a cultural identity forged, the boots-on-the-ground struggle took shape. But the resistance was definitely not a monolith.
You had the moderates, led by figures like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, who believed in calculated constitutional methods and cooperation to achieve reforms. And on the flip side, you had the extremists, most notably the Lal Bal Paul trio. They weren't asking, they were demanding Swaraj, or self-rule, through aggressive tactics like the Swadeshi movement, urging a total boycott of British goods.
And beyond the political maneuvering, there were the revolutionaries who believed freedom required the ultimate sacrifice. Listen to these words from Bhagat Singh. "Revolution is an inalienable right of mankind. Freedom is an imperishable birthright of all." He was executed by the British when he was just 23 years old. His militant actions and that tragic early death sent absolute shockwaves of emotion and defiance across the entire country.
And then, enter Mahatma Gandhi. Returning from South Africa in 1915, he brought a totally different weapon to the fight, ahimsa, or nonviolence. He started small and highly focused. We're talking the 1917 Champaran movement for exploited indigo farmers, a hunger strike for Ahmedabad mill workers, and fighting for Quetta peasants against unfair taxes. Through these really localized civil disobedience campaigns, he proved something massive, that nonviolent resistance could actually force the empire to bend.
As the movement matured, the sheer variety of tactics happening all at once was just staggering. You had massive peaceful acts of defiance like the famous Salt March led by Gandhi and C. Rajagopalachari. Meanwhile, outside India's borders, Subhash Chandra Bose took a radically different path. He escaped to Berlin, met with Axis leaders, and actually formed the Armed Indian National Army in Singapore. And right on the home front, leaders like Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India, were pioneering leadership roles for women, proving for sure that this was a fight involving literally every demographic of society.
Section 5. Architects of the Republic. Dawn of a New Era.
1947 hits, and independence is officially won. But building a functional modern nation from scratch meant these freedom fighters had to seamlessly transition into steadfast statesmen. Figures like Jawaharlal Nehru stepped up as the first prime minister, focusing heavily on science, secularism, and industrialization to modernize the economy. Dr. Rajendra Prasad took the mantle of the first president, and C. Rajagopalachari served as the first and last Indian governor-general, guiding the brand new republic through its very fragile first days.
But perhaps the most enduring architecture of this new nation was its legal framework. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, an eminent jurist and a fierce champion of the depressed classes, took on the Herculean task of drafting the Indian Constitution. He literally cemented democratic principles and absolutely crucial social equality laws right into the very fabric of the new republic.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from the arrival of the first foreign ships to the drafting of a constitution. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Considering the incredibly complex blend of Gandhi's nonviolence, the militant uprisings of Bhagat Singh and Subhash Chandra Bose, and the moderates' political maneuvering, could independence have been won using only one of these methods? Or did it require every single facet of this immense struggle to finally break the chains of empire? It's definitely something to think about.